Wow, hello there. Yesterday I went to the geneticist who said she had some test results, and I've grown accustomed to having negative test results, which sucks when you're a person who's sick and trying to figure out what it is that you have. So even though I didn't really expect anything, I finally have an official diagnosis. I might mess up some of the medical lingo or information as it just happened, sorry. But I will definitely be making an awareness video later on with like the facts about it, as it is a rare condition, or at least a rarely diagnosed condition. So yeah, you can start the drum roll now. My official diagnosis is classical Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Who bet on that? Who bet on that? I did. If you've been following my diagnosis journey, you might know that I started using mobility aids in June 2014, even though I was experiencing pain before that. And that was followed by a misdiagnosis and a surgical procedure that left me in more long-term pain. And after that is when I started looking into my symptoms and I suspected EDS. When I said this to my doctors, they dismissed me, laughed at me, and gaslit me. At the time, I had an insurance that wouldn't allow me to see a specialist without a referral from my primary physician, and he refused to let me see a geneticist when I originally asked. I also talked to a neurosurgeon, and he was insisting that I get another invasive procedure that I was like, no, this doesn't work, and it leaves me in longer pain. Please hear me out. I think I have EDS, and I would like to get tested for it. He scoffed at me and said, no, I don't think you have EDS. And just dropped it. And continued to persist that I get another risky surgical procedure. Fun times. So, I'm not gonna lie, it does feel pretty good to know that I'm right. To know that I was right. It does feel pretty shitty to me that if I hadn't advocated for myself so hard, I could have gotten really hurt, and I could have potentially spent so much more money on medical care than I already did. And I'm emotionally hurt that so many of my doctors, the people who are supposed to help you, became my obstacles and became emotional abusers who tried to convince me that my illness was in my head, who told me I couldn't possibly be in as much pain as I was saying that I was too young to be in that much pain, that I looked too good to be as sick as I was saying that I was. Particularly as an abuse survivor, that kind of treatment, there is no language, there is no words for how angry and how hurt that makes me. Ultimately, I feel pretty chill about it. I feel accomplished, that all the self-advocacy, all the physical and emotional labor that I went through finally has some results, and that I was right. All that feels good, and I'm pretty chill about it. So, let's get to the FAQs. First, what is Ehlers-Danlos syndrome? There are different types of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. I was diagnosed with classical type. It is a genetic disease, meaning I've had it since I was born, and it's been slowly progressing to where I am with it right now. It is a progressive connective tissue disorder. It causes the collagen in my body to be defective. Collagen is all throughout the body and can potentially affect my internal organs. And the most visible way that it can be identified is through my hypermobility, which is just a fun word meaning my joints are messed up, or flexibility. And one way I guess that I could show you what that means is showing you my hypermobile finger. If you're a little queasy about flexible body parts, I'll warn you when to start looking away. All right, so typically, let's do this. A finger trying to push a button on an elevator, per se. You go ding dong, right? But instead of that, my finger will do this. All right, queasy folks, close your eyes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So my joints are jello, which can physically be dangerous for me to walk on. Via MRIs, we have observed that some of my joints are kind of floating on each other like opposing magnets, as opposed to being fused, which is what joints are supposed to do, which causes me this very sharp, cold pain throughout different parts of my body, throughout all my joints. And my joints just basically, they get loose, they're flexible, sometimes they lock the wrong way or subluxating. They can also easily dislocate. My highest pain levels are usually in my feet, my wrists, my pelvic, and lower back. All symptoms and pain levels are on a spectrum and are often fluid. So several people with the same diagnosis might have different physical disabilities, which is why some people with EDS get around just fine without a mobility aid. Some use canes, some use wheelchairs, and some use all three, depending on what their needs are at any given time. Other symptoms include chronic pain, chronic fatigue, depression, cognitive dysfunction or brain fog, such as poor memory, hey Dory, and difficulty concentrating or focusing. What else? Heel spurs, muscle cramps, easy bruising, slow healing, skin hyperextensibility or stretchy skin, being resistant to local anesthesia. And I'm pretty sure the list goes on. And they mentioned that my eyesight is also one of the symptoms. There's a lot of stuff. And to be honest, one of the kinder symptoms I found out about is smooth, velvety, soft skin. I know. When I found out about that, I just immediately flashed back to every handhold, every hug, every hookup where the person was just like in awe, like, whoa, your skin is so soft. And I would be like, and now I know it's a symptom. And I want to be clear, even if you have a few of these symptoms, doesn't necessarily mean that you have EDS, as they can all happen independently, or you could it just could just happen to be, and you're not even sick at all, like the soft skin part. But if you have a lot of matching symptoms, can't hurt to look into it. Is it treatable / curable? No! There is no cure, and there is no one-size-fits-all treatment. What I can do, now that I have a diagnosis, is be taken more seriously in doctor spaces, particularly when I want to try out certain medications and therapies. It just gives me more validity in those spaces to finally have a diagnosis. And with medications and therapies, it's just, trial and error and seeing what works for me. how was it ultimately diagnosed? A lot of people told me that their EDS was diagnosed just by testing their hypermobility right there in the doctor's office space, assuming that the doctor knew what EDS was. Other people have told me skin biopsies, where they would check to see if your collagen is defective. In my case, I took a genetic chromosome test, and in that, my doctor found 3 chromosome variants, which I'm not entirely sure what that means. I'll look it up later. And it's in that exam that she found that my collagen was indeed defective and gave me the official diagnosis of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. What's next? My geneticist wants me to get my heart, my brain, my lungs examined right away, as well as for me to see a neurologist about my cognitive issues, and pain management, to start trying some pain management medications and treatments and seeing what works, which is what I just said. I'm also still trying to get myself a power chair, because my insurance is doing everything they can not to help me get one. I have my prescription for my power chair. It's just money, right? So if you got some kindness in your heart and would like to contribute and help me get a power chair so I can get around independently again, I will definitely leave some links in the description, and I would be so grateful. I'm emotionally pretty chill about it, as I've been adjusting to and living with this illness for some time now. I just finally have a name for it, and having a name for it is incredible. Like, I can start advocating for this disease from personal experience now, and I don't have to feel so awkward and frustrated when somebody asks me what my disability is or why I'm using a mobility device. I remember the last time someone asked me, "Oh my God, what happened?" because I was using a cane. I just snapped at her and went, "Because I'm sick forever!" Now I can calmly say, "Oh, it's because I have a connective tissue disorder called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome." It'll be as simple as that. I'm so excited. Yeah, so I think that's about it. If you have any questions, this is the perfect video to ask me. I feel like this is like a closed chapter, finally knowing what I have. I have no idea what's ahead, and I don't mind it. We're just gonna take things one day at a time. That's it. I appreciate you all, and I will see you eventually. Bye.